Goku finally arrived at the place and his shock was enormous seeing the city in ruins, but more shocking was when he took a step, and felt he stepped in a puddle, and when he looked down at the ground his eyes widened in shock upon seeing it was blood. What in the world happened here? Goku said out loud, but he quickly understood what was happening, when one of the streetlights flickered trying to turn on, and that was when Goku saw for a few seconds what had caused that pool of blood. He quickly created a key sphere to light up the area, and then saw the bodies of Rias and Graphia. He was in shock seeing them since he did not expect something this gruesome, but walking a bit further he saw another body. This was Kroka, who it seemed had died trying to protect Kaneko with her whole body. Kaneko was barely alive underneath Kuroka's body. Goku's entire body trembled with pure rage. Who was the wretched bastard responsible for all this? That was what was running through his mind at this moment. He tried to search for the remaining girls to see if they were alive or not and was relieved to see Akino was still alive though unconscious. Goku carried her in his arms and set her down in a secluded spot so she would not get caught up in the fighting if it came to that. When he returned to the area, he saw something that shocked him, and that was Bikao, whom he had met in Kyoto, but he was now impaled by his own staff and lifeless with his eyes still open. Goku went to him and closed his eyes and pulled the staff out of his body. Poor kid. That was all Goku said as he laid Bikao's body on the ground. Arthur's body was nowhere to be found since he had been completely disintegrated, but Goku did not know that. Goku clenched his fists so hard they began to bleed, and his face was stained with pain and rage at what he was seeing in front of him. Who could be responsible for all of this? Goku said, not planning to forgive whoever had caused this disaster. But just as he was wondering who was behind it all, something crashed down beside him, creating a crater and a cloud of dust. When the dust cleared, Goku could see Vali, who no longer had his armor and was missing an arm. But just as Goku was about to say something, someone else spoke first. At last you arrived, Son Goku. I was getting tired of playing with this trash, the voice said in an arrogant tone. When Goku turned around with a face full of rage, all that rage shifted to confusion, since floating in the sky in front of him was someone with his exact face, but wearing different clothing. Who in the world are you? And why do you have my face? Goku asked, confused. It is not just your face, Son Goku. This is your body which I took from you, and with it I killed not only your wife and son, but I have also killed your current wives, Black said with a sinister smile on his face. The fury inside Goku had already surpassed its limit, and something inside him was slowly beginning to crack. But what would finally break him was what happened next. While Black was talking to him, Medica crashed down near Goku. He went to her side, and when he saw her he realized she was in a terrible state, since it seemed she had been tortured. And once again he felt the sound of something cracking further inside him. Something was on the verge of collapsing within him. And the final breaking point came next, when a black wing was thrown at his side, bloodied and showing signs of having been torn off. And then in the sky, floating while holding Rainer by her one remaining wing, Zamasu appeared, and right before Goku's eyes did something terrible. With his free hand he cruelly and mercilessly tore off the remaining wing on Rainer's back, and as if it were trash, tossed it beside Goku. At this point Goku stopped hearing any words. He only saw one thing, the enemy in front of him. And without further warning he exploded into blind and uncontrollable fury. I will kill you. With that scream, and entering a state of complete loss of control, he threw himself, with all his accumulated power and rage, at Zamasu, who could not even see him coming, and took a hit from a Goku in Super Saiyan Blue Ikari, who no longer cared about holding back or about the world. Only one thing repeated over and over in his head, and that was kill the enemy. From a distance Zero watched all of this with interest and amusement, since it was not very common to see Son Goku react this way. This is the most complete reaction I have seen so far, Zero said, interested in Goku's current state. Had you seen something similar before? The voice in the shadow asked. Several times, but none of them had reached this level of fury and pain. Zero answered. Jajo, you know you will not have a pleasant death in the future, do you not? The voice said between laughs. At this point, and after everything I have done, I do not expect anything pleasant, Zero answered, knowing his death would not be a pleasant one. Meanwhile, the battle between an out-of-control Goku and Zamasu, who was being cornered by Goku's brutality, was interrupted by Black, who stepped in to save his other self, who was being wiped out by Goku. But even so, Goku had no trouble with the two of them, and you may wonder how that could be possible. It is very simple, since Goku at this moment was not holding back at all. He cared little or nothing for his surroundings due to his unrestrained rage, and could use his power at 100% without regard for whether it affected what was around him. The city of Kua at this moment was total chaos, with police and fire sirens blaring nonstop from the destruction caused by the battle taking place at that very moment. The deaths caused were numbering in the thousands at this point, since the battle between the three of them was a complete disaster. At one point in the battle, Black and Zamasu seemed to have found a way to overpower this out of control Goku. But just as they thought they might finally defeat him, a portal opened in the sky, and from it came a sphere of ki which struck Zamasu. "You look pathetic, Kakarot," a familiar voice said. The out-of-control Goku turned upon hearing that voice, and when he looked toward the portal he could see it truly was that person, and thanks to that he regained the sanity he had lost. "Vegeta," he said in a discouraged tone with a somber face, when he saw his friend and rival floating in the sky in his typical pose with arms crossed. Vegeta descended to where Goku was, and looked around, and saw the whole place was chaos. "I see you did not hold back," Vegeta said sarcastically. Goku stayed silent since he could not argue with that truth, and Vegeta noticed it. "Do not get depressed about it, Kakarot. From the start you were a strange Saiyan who cared about peace and justice and all that nonsense, so the current situation is actually more typical of a real Saiyan," Vegeta said, looking at the state of the ruined city. "I lost control from the fury. I am still furious," Goku said with his head down, looking at the ground while clenching his teeth and fists. "I saw everything that happened to your women, and you have every right to be angry at those men." Vegeta agreed with what had happened and supported him. "But even so, too many innocent people have died because of it. You understand that, do you not?" Vegeta told him. Goku nodded, but right now he did not care about strangers. He only cared about his girls who had died because of those two. Seeing him in such a pitiful state, Vegeta clenched his fist and punched him in the face, surprising Goku, who went flying and crashed into a building. "What was that for?" Goku shouted as he climbed out of the rubble. "Shut your mouth, insect. Stop looking so pathetic and listen." Vegeta ordered him to be quiet, clearly annoyed at seeing his rival being so pathetic. Goku was surprised by that and fell silent, and then Vegeta began to speak. "I have a message from Lord Bills for you, so listen carefully," Vegeta said. "Son Goku, under normal circumstances I should not tell you this since you decided of your own free will to stay in that universe, but after seeing what has happened I have decided that for this one and only time you may use the Dragon Balls to bring your girls and the people who have died back to life. But remember, this will be the last time, so if something similar happens again, do not expect to be able to use the Dragon Balls. That is the message, so relax, since this time you will be able to bring them back to life," Vegeta said. At that moment Goku could not hold back, and tears began to fall from his eyes, which surprised and disgusted Vegeta. But seeing his rival's face now returning to his usual self, deep down he was glad. But while they were talking, Zamasu and Black fused, but that did not surprise Vegeta much, since it seemed he had come prepared, as Whis, for some strange reason, had been able to predict the current situation, and had given Vegeta the Potara earrings. "Is that?" Goku said, surprised seeing the earrings. "Whis gave them to me. And now I understand why. Even though I do not like the idea of fusing with you again, the situation requires it," Vegeta said, looking at the fused Zamasu. Goku put his earring on the left side, and Vegeta on the right, and without further delay the two collided, and after a great light appeared, the Ultimate Warrior could be seen returning after a long time. "Yes, I am back," Vegito shouted excitedly. Vegito began stretching his muscles, striking various poses, while the fused Zamasu felt ignored, and that annoyed him. "Oh, I see they fused," Zero said, watching everything from a distance. "That I certainly did not expect," the voice in the shadow said. "Ha ha ha, yes, if Vegito appeared then this is already decided," Zero said. "Is he that powerful?" the voice in the shadow asked with interest. "He is the Ultimate Warrior," Zero answered. The voice in the shadow said nothing and stayed silent. "So the Ultimate Warrior," the voice in the shadow thought. Meanwhile, the battle between Vegito, who had transformed into his blue state, was giving a beating to the fused Zamasu, who thought he was truly immortal, but realized only one part of him was, while the other was deteriorating. But he did not count on Vegito being able to use the Hawkeye of the Gods of Destruction, and without wasting any more time he used the Hawkeye on the fused Zamasu, who was finally eliminated. Vegito, who still wore a serious face even after eliminating the fused Zamasu, placed his fingers on his forehead and suddenly teleported away. Zero, who thought he was well hidden in the distance and had suppressed his ki, was found instantly by Vegito. "How is it going?" Vegito greeted with a half-smile, full of Vegeta's arrogance. Zero, who was surprised for a few seconds, quickly composed himself and answered in his usual manner. "I see they do not call you the Ultimate Warrior for nothing," Zero answered, feigning confidence. It is easy when so much evil ki is coming from just one spot, Vegito said, looking at Zero's feet. At that moment, a laugh full of arrogance could be heard from the shadow, and then a figure began to emerge from it and Freezer appeared in front of Vegito in his typical pose. It seems he found us, Zero, Freezer said, not seeming afraid of Vegito. So it appears, Zero answered. It would be very easy for me to kill both of you right now. You understand that, do you not? Vegito told the two of them, who upon hearing that began to sweat. Certainly it would be easy for you, but, Zero answered. But right now I have something more important to do than eliminate two simple rats, so you had better take this opportunity since the next time we meet will be the end. Vegito told the two of them with a cold stare. They agreed without knowing the reason, but still withdrew for the moment, not knowing that the next encounter between them would truly be the last. Shortly after Zero and Freezer left, the fusion reached its time limit and Goku and Vegeta returned to being themselves, and now headed to the Dragon Ball world, to make their wish to the Dragon Balls which had already been gathered and prepared. Goku asked the dragon to revive the victims of Zamasu Black Zero and Freezer as his first wish. For his second wish he asked the dragon to bring back to life the victims of his fight with Zamasu and Black. Goku no longer needed to ask for anything else, so, after saying goodbye to all his friends, and thanking Bills for letting him make the wishes, he returned once again to the world of DxD, but not before having short conversation with Vegeta. Kakarot, you know the next time you meet that hooded clown, it will be the last time either for him, or for you. Vegeta told him. I know, Vegeta. I cannot forgive what happened this time, so next time I will make sure to eliminate him. Goku answered, determined to defeat Zero no matter what, because of what happened. That is good to hear, Insect, so if you need me just use Whiz's ball, and let me know. Vegeta said, knowing well how Goku felt, since as Vegito he had been able to feel the pain Goku was going through at that moment. Goku just nodded and said thank you, and with that he returned. When he returned, a wide smile appeared on his face when all the girls who had lost their lives came running toward him, and knocked him over in tears of joy, and tears of happiness could also be seen in Goku's eyes upon seeing them alive again. Nearly a year had passed since the events with Black. During that year several things happened. Rias and the third-year students had graduated, and were now about to enter university. Due to the whims of the Omni King, Zeno-sama, a tournament was held involving several universes, and Goku took part at Bill's request in exchange for having used the Dragon Balls during the Black incident. That did not bother Goku much, since he was more than willing to fight strong opponents, and Bills knew that, so it was a rather poor excuse on his part. Several changes occurred within Goku's harem. The first was learning that Rossweiss was the first to become pregnant. That made the other girls burn with envy, since they had been trying long before and had no luck, and Ross, who had been among the last to join, was the first to conceive. Goku learned what real fear felt like during the nights that followed. The other change was that both Kuroka and Luffy joined Goku's harem shortly after the events in Kyoto, along with Yasuka, who fell for him instantly upon meeting him and feeling his full power. Goku was now the adoptive father of Kuno, who was happy to have him as her father. Meanwhile, Vegeta asked Bulma to create a device that could track ki not only in this universe, but in others as well. That was an extremely difficult task even for the super genius Bulma, but she still managed to create it after a year of hard work. But the device found nothing, so they finally turned to Whis, who told them to try at the time nest, since all timelines converge there, and the one in charge of the place, the Supreme Kai of Time, could help them. Goku asked for permission to return to his world, and from there go to the time nest to speak with the Supreme Kai of Time, so Bills gave him permission, and so Whis went to the world of DxD, and brought Goku back to his universe. After Goku returned to his original world, he went to find Vegeta, since this could not be handled by him alone this time. At one point in the past, Goku would not have even considered asking Vegeta for help, since as a proper Saiyan he preferred to fight on his own, but now Goku was different and could not allow his girls to die again because of his pride, so he went to find Vegeta, since if things went badly, they could fuse as a last and desperate resort. Vegeta had no complaints and agreed instantly. What was the reason for that change, you may ask? It was simple to understand. Vegeta respected this new Kakarot, who was capable of swallowing his Saiyan pride and asking for help for the sake of his women, and that is something the old Kakarot would never have done. Now the two of them, along with Whis, were on their way to the place where they might find a clue to where Zero and Freezer were hiding, the place known as the Time Nest. Whis explained to them that the Time Nest is under the charge of the Supreme Kai of Time, and her role is to protect the timelines of the multiverse. While they talked, they had already arrived at their destination. The Time Nest looks a lot like a giant cage containing the Vault of Time, a small house. So this is the Time Nest, huh? What an eccentric place. Goku and Vegeta did not hold back, and gave their honest opinion about the place, which was quite quaint to put it one way. Sorry that it is not to your liking, a somewhat childish voice said. When Goku and Vegeta saw her, they were confused since this was not what they expected to find in such an important place. What is a little girl doing in a place like this? Has even the place where time is managed turned into a daycare now? Goku's words made the girl whom they had mistaken for a child puff out her cheeks in anger, while Whis laughed at his two disciples' confusion. Goku-san, Vegeta-san, this person in front of you is Kranoa, and she is the Supreme Kai of Time. The two of them made faces of pure disbelief, and when they looked at her, she proudly puffed out her non-existent chest. What? The two of them shouted, surprised by the information. Just so you know, even though I look like this, I am over 75 million years old. Well, we Saiyans age slowly, but you take it to another level. Phew, is that not right? But Kranoa put on a lonely face and touched her non-existent chest. Because of that my chest never grew, she said with tears in her eyes and a face full of resignation. Vegeta played dumb and tried to act as if he had not heard anything, but Goku tried to comfort her. Do not worry about that. These days there are people who like flat ones like you. That was a hard blow for Kranoa above, whose head an imaginary HP bar could be seen dropping as if she had taken a critical hit, and she fell to her hands and knees on the ground. Kakarot, you are so insensitive. Huh. Me. I only said it to cheer her up. Well, your words had the opposite effect. Goku scratched the back of his neck a bit embarrassed, and with a sigh went over to Kranoa and put his hand on her head. Hey, I am sorry. It is fine. My destiny is to live single until I die. Seeing the despair on her face, Goku told her, hey, if you find you cannot find a husband, I promise I will marry you. She looked at him with teary eyes and said, you are only saying that to comfort me. You will not keep your word later. I do not lie. Besides, one of my future wives is just as flat as you. Hearing that someone else was in the same situation as her, Kranoa's eyes lit up. Are you serious, son Goku? Goku nodded and Kranoa stood up and said, I will be right back, and ran off. Minutes later she returned with a scroll in her hands. Let us see who this comrade is you told me about. Goku did not understand anything, but when she unrolled the scroll, images of his house and his girls appeared. Ku! Kranoa shouted as if she had taken a critical hit upon seeing all the girls in Goku's house, but when she saw Kaneko her eyes lit up, and she shouted, a comrade. Both Goku and Vegeta had drops of sweat on their heads at the Supreme Kai of Time's reaction. Noticing how they were looking at her, she blushed, and in a tsundere manner told the two of them, do not get the wrong idea. If I release my power, my body is super attractive. The two gave her a look that said sure, keep dreaming, which annoyed the Kai greatly, but she suddenly remembered something. Hey son Goku. Yes, you say you will marry me, but are you not already married to an earthling? Oh, that. We divorced a while ago. Huh. What? I did not know about that. Seeing her so confused, Whis answered for her. That is because this Goku is not the one from the original timeline, you know. Hearing Whis' explanation and the circumstances under which this Goku ended up outside his predetermined timeline, Kranoa was able to understand. After thinking it over for a moment, Kranoa looked at Goku and grabbed his hand. Let us go to the world you live in now. Why? Let us make official what you said in front of your brides before you forget, since you are a Goku after all. She said all that and added the you are a Goku part as if it were some kind of insult, which annoyed Goku. Hey, do not use my name like it is some kind of insult. What? Are you backing out of what you told me a moment ago? No, but I said that if you could not find anyone. Do you really think I could find someone in this place? Do you not think I am cute? Hearing her reasoning, Goku looked around, and seeing it would be nearly impossible for her to find someone in this place, he simply answered, fine, I do think you are cute, so let us go. With a big smile she told Vegeta and Whis we will be back in a bit, and using her instant teleport the two of them went to Goku's house in the DxD universe. Goku along with Kranoa appeared at Goku's house, surprising the girls. Why did you come back so soon? Riaz asked, not understanding why Goku was back so early since he had told them he was leaving to settle things with Zero. And who is that girl? She is cute. The one asking was Akino, and the others nodded at her question since they were very curious about Kranoa. But the one in question was searching with her eyes for a certain girl, and upon spotting her ran toward her, and grabbed her hands, and with great joy began shaking them up and down, which confused the one on the receiving end, who was Sharon, also known as Kaneko, who had question marks over her head, not understanding what was happening. I am so happy to meet you, comrade. Kaneko looked at Goku with a face that was a mix of confusion and discomfort, but he only gave her a tired smile. Goku now noticed several of his women were missing, so he asked Akino, who was next to him holding his arm. Hey Akino, where are Lisana and Gabriel? Olisana went shopping, and Gabriel was called by Michael-sama, since he needed her present for some reason. Goku then noticed two girls who for some reason were always at his house. Hey Kuroka, why are you always at my house? Also, why do you bring office with you? I do not understand. Kuroka puffed out her cheeks childishly, and answered Goku while continuing to eat fries on the sofa. What? You were the one who told me I could come visit Sharon whenever I wanted, and now you are telling me I cannot. One thing is visiting once in a while, and another entirely is being here every single day. Do not worry about those small details. Besides, I am also part of your harem. Hearing the nonsense Kuroka was saying, Goku could only sigh in resignation, but while he was feeling down, someone tugged at his shirt several times, and when he looked he realized it was Office, who has always worn expressionless face. Sorry for the trouble. At Office's words, which seemed a bit sad, Goku just patted her head. Do not worry. You are not a bother like that clingy cat over there. Goku's words made Office, who rarely showed much expression, show a small smile, while Kuroka complained to Goku about what he had just said. To change the subject, Goku asked where Rosweiss was now, and Medica told him she was upstairs. Goku, who was about to go up, stopped when he saw Ross coming down the stairs, which alarmed him since she was pregnant and he did not want her moving around too much because of it. But Ross, hearing all the commotion coming from downstairs, decided to come down slowly to see what was causing it. Ross, let me help you. Seeing him so worried, Ross let out a sigh and put a smile on her face. There is no need to worry so much. I am a Valkyrie after all, so a pregnancy is no trouble for me. That does not matter to me. Let me worry about you, please. In my previous marriage, I was not able to do that with my two children, and that weighs on me as a father, so let me worry this time, okay? Ross was filled with happiness at those words and rubbed her belly and said to the child inside her, it seems your father worries about us too much. Is that not right, my little Einar? Einar in Norse means warrior leader. The atmosphere of the house grew very warm and full of love. Everyone helped each other and loved one another like family, and Kranoa found that an enviable and pleasant atmosphere. It is decided. I will also become part of this harem. That threw everyone off since they did not understand what this girl was talking about, so they all gave Goku a look full of reproach. Why are you all looking at me like that? Lolican, Lolly Saiyan, Lolly King. Stop right there. All of you are wrong, okay? What are we wrong about? Lala Goku. Hey Riaz, that last one was uncalled for. You are all being rude to Kranoa. Even though she looks like this, she is a goddess, the one who controls time. What? They all shouted, surprised at the same time, while Kranoa proudly puffed out her chest, or tried to. Also, she is the oldest of everyone here since she is over 75 million years old, even though she looks like a child. They all froze upon learning Kranoa's age. Appearances can be deceiving sometimes, they all thought. Kranoa hit Goku on the head, and began lecturing him about how it was not polite to talk about a lady's age, and things like that. That made everyone laugh, and the mood turned cheerful again. The girls had no complaints now that they knew about her and accepted her. One more would not make a difference at this point. Besides, she was a goddess of time. It is time to head back, Kranoa. Already. Vegeta is waiting, and surely wants to settle things with Freezer, and I also want to settle things with that Zero. They all watched Goku's face turn serious with traces of rage over what Zero had done to them. Goku did not plan to forgive him, and that was clear. Once you drop me off at the time nest, you can come back here if you want. That is fine. I want to talk a lot with everyone, especially with my comrade Shiron. Kranoa gave Kaneko a thumbs up, who did the same, though she still did not understand why Kranoa called her comrade. And that is how Goku and Kranoa returned to the time nest, where Vegeta had grown tired of waiting. Vegeta along with Whis were ready to move to the time rift, the place where Freezer and Zero were hiding. Will you be alright? Kranoa asked with a face full of worry for Goku. He just gave her a smile and put his hand on her head, giving her a couple of pats. Do not worry. That guy cannot beat me, of that I am certain. That did not reassure Kranoa at all, since she did not want to end up single again, now that someone had finally offered to marry her. Also, in the short time she had spent at Goku's house, she had noticed the good atmosphere among all the girls. You had better not be lying, or I swear I will revive you just to kill you myself. And with that said, Whis along with Goku and Vegeta moved toward the Time Rift. Time Rift Deep Zone. Once Whis had brought them to their destination, he left, since as an angel he could not interfere in this kind of matter. The place was quite disorienting. Even without a visible floor, one could walk perfectly, and the surroundings, even without a single point of light, did not hinder visibility. The place was full of enormous crystals, which held the events of the Dragon Ball universe. It was somewhat strange for Goku and Vegeta to see some things they had already lived through. and others they had not yet seen since all the events of every multiverse were recorded there. The two walked until they suddenly stopped, feeling an enormous ki coming from a bit further ahead. Vegeta. I know Kakarot, I know. I can feel his disgusting ki. That ki which the two of them felt was very familiar to both. It was a completely evil ki, and its presence alone could make most people tremble from a distance, and up close it would drive them mad, and leave them unconscious. It was the ki of the Emperor of Evil Freezer. He approached them walking with an arrogant smile on his face, and gave them an elegant greeting as he usually did. It has been a while, gentlemen. Spare us your stupid fake courtesy, Freezer. You have not betrayed Zero yet. Do not tell me you grew fond of him, or something like that. Jajajajo. You apes do not understand our working relationship. Vegeta and Goku were quite annoyed, especially Vegeta, but now he had a good opportunity to give Freezer what he deserved, and he would not waste it. Kakarot, you continue on ahead and deal with that Zero trash. I will take care of this insect once and for all. Goku nodded at what Vegeta said, since he fully trusted Vegeta could handle Freezer without much trouble. But Freezer felt offended by what Vegeta said. Jajajajo. You take care of me. Vegeta-san, I think you have grown a bit too arrogant, do you not think? For a worm like you, I alone am enough to crush you. You will soon understand the great difference between trash like you and me, the Prince of the Saiyans. Goku began walking toward where Zero was. But just as he passed by Freezer, the two looked at each other for a moment, yet Freezer still did not stop Goku, and he continued on his way, while Freezer wore an ironic smile on his face. Hey worm, why did you not try to stop him? Freezer shrugged with a sarcastic smile on his face. I am not stupid. I do not have the confidence to face the both of you at the same time. Vegeta was certain Freezer would try to stop Kakarot, but he did not. Freezer was certainly very arrogant, but he was not stupid. He knew that if he fought both of them he would surely lose, so he decided to let Goku go, whom he considered the more troublesome of the two, and face Vegeta instead. But what Freezer did not know was that Vegeta was just as troublesome as Goku, if not more so at this point. Now that it is just the two of us, let the show begin. With those words, Freezer began his transformation into Golden Freezer. Sorry to keep you waiting. This is the perfected Golden Freezer. I hope you enjoy it, Jajajajo. Vegeta was not the least bit worried. On the contrary, he seemed far too calm, as if the terrible power of the perfect Golden Freezer was no problem for him at all. Phew phew phew. Ha ha ha. Vegeta bursting into laughter through Freezer, since he thought Vegeta had gone crazy, or something like that. Perhaps some time ago this would have surprised me. But Freezer, you seem to forget that Saiyans never stop evolving. Vegeta began powering up. Freezer's face slowly began to shift from confidence to terror upon seeing all the power Vegeta had. It was not surprising, since Vegeta had been training hard, without rest in the hyperbolic time chamber, so this Vegeta was very different from the one who took part in the Tournament of Power. Vegeta transformed into Super Saiyan Blue evolution, but this was full power. Do not be so surprised, worm. The fun part comes now, he. Vegeta returned to his base state, and while closing his eyes, an incredible aura and pressure began radiating from his body. No, it cannot be. You mastered that too. What Freezer was referring to was mastered Ultra Instinct. Though it was the incomplete state, Vegeta had managed to master it to that degree. If Kakarot could do it, then I, who am the prince, can do it too. Freezer had not counted on this. He was confident he could match, or even surpass his blue state, but this was beyond anything he had planned for. No, do not get so arrogant, you damned ape. Freezer, who had lost his composure, threw himself into a wild attack. Vegeta in his current state dodged every single one of his blows with elegance, and without any effort at all. That made Freezer more and more furious and nervous, and with his patience gone, his attacks became simpler and more careless. Noticing this shift, Vegeta switched directly into offensive mode. This incomplete state was more suited for defense, but against an opponent who had lost control it could be used offensively as well. Now it was Vegeta striking Freezer without mercy at an incredible speed, and within seconds Vegeta had reduced Freezer to dust. In a desperate act, Freezer tried to destroy Vegeta with his death ball. But that was something Vegeta had already seen before, and would not fall for. So while Freezer was gathering energy on his finger, Vegeta had already gathered all the power needed to eliminate him once and for all in both his hands. Disappear once and for all, you piece of trash. Vegeta, who had the attack ready, fired it. Final flash. The powerful attack struck the Emperor of Evil, completely disintegrating him, without leaving a single speck of dust from his miserable existence. Vegeta with a sigh returned to his normal state, but looked toward the place where Goku had gone. You had better not lose, Kakarot. Dimensional Rift Deep Zone. in the deepest part of the dimensional rift Goku stood face to face with Zero. The two were surrounded by the crystals holding the events of the main Dragon Ball timeline. Why was Zero in this particular place? What could he be planning? Goku, who was holding himself back to keep from striking him, told him in a firm and commanding voice, "Zero, take off the mask." Zero only let out a laugh under his mask, and slowly removed it until finally Goku could see the face of the man who had caused him so much pain and suffering. "You. That face. Who in the world are you?" Goku had initially thought Zero was someone he knew hiding behind the mask, but now seeing his face he was even more confused. Zero had almost white hair, and there were strange thin markings across his face which looked like small purple veins. His eyes were hazel-colored and he appeared young. "I told you before, you know me, yet at the same time you do not. Remember?" Goku still did not understand why this man held so much hatred toward him. Zero noticed Goku's confusion, so he answered what he was surely thinking. "From your face I can tell you do not understand why I hate you and everyone around you. But there is an explanation for that. I would like to hear it. It is not complicated. Do you remember the Red Ribbon Army?" Hearing that name, Goku recalled his childhood, and the moment he single-handedly invaded the Red Ribbon Army base to put an end to their wicked plans. "From your face I can see you do remember them. Well, I am a creation of theirs, or rather of Professor Ayumu." "Professor Ayumu. It is no surprise you do not know him, since the one always credited was Maki Jero. But Professor Ayumu was also a genius, who always remained in Jero's shadow. And what does that have to do with you?" "I was the prototype for the research on artificial humans. In the base of the tube where I was kept there was a serial number, and mine was 000, which is why I decided to call myself Zero." Zero opened his shirt, and on his chest that numbering was marked. Professor Ayumu was testing whether Saiyan blood could be mixed with that of an artificially created human. "The first tests were done on me, and the blood used was your son's from when the Saiyans first arrived on Earth. But the higher-ups wanted something pure rather than mixed blood, so new clones were used to test with your blood, Vegeta's, and the other two. But over time the specimens ended up dying since they could not assimilate your pure blood. When the higher-ups saw this project was going nowhere, they decided to erase every trace of it, and the first to be eliminated was Professor Ayumu. But before he died the professor set me free, and thanks to that I was able to survive somehow." Hearing everything Zero was recounting, Goku remembered how wicked and cruel those men were, and felt a bit of pity for Zero. But Zero, seeing Goku's face, knew what he was thinking. "Do not feel sorry for me, son Goku. A short time later, once I learned to control my power, I went on my own and killed them all. But shortly after I learned about the secret project involving the androids and Cell, but I did not see it as a bother, so I did nothing about it. But I still do not understand why you hate me." "Oh, that is simple. I am just following my original orders." "Original orders? We were created for the purpose of killing you. Did you not learn that from the androids and Cell? But you had the choice not to after everything that happened." "Certainly, but it is still more fun if one has a goal in life, do you not think so?" Hearing him say that, Goku remembered why he was here. "How stupid of me to try to settle this without spilling blood." That is what Goku thought. Without saying anything more, Goku went directly into Super Saiyan Blue full power and extended his hand toward Zero. "I should have done this from the beginning. Are you sure about that?" At those words full of confidence from Zero, Goku raised an eyebrow. "Do you not care what happens to the temporal crystals?" Hearing him say that, Goku could not help but burst out laughing, which threw Zero off since he did not understand what was funny about the situation. "You know, Zero, as far as I am concerned you can destroy every single one of them. That does not affect me at all." "What do you mean it does not affect you at all?" "It is just as I said. I am not from the original timeline, so their destruction will not affect me at all. I no longer belong to it from the moment I was sent to Kua." Zero had not counted on that. He thought Goku, being Goku, would end up protecting the crystals, but this answer was unexpected and rather cruel on his part. "Let me tell you something, Zero. You pushed me beyond my limit, both mentally and personally, by sending those men to attack me. But the worst part was that because of you they ended up dying, and that I will not forgive you. Are you not, son Goku? Is it not your nature to protect?" Hearing him say all that nonsense, Goku grew furious, and with a voice full of rage and hatred answered him. "You crossed every line the moment you sent someone to kill my women, you wretch. You picked a fight with the wrong Goku." Goku, who was now completely fed up with everything, began gathering energy in his hands to destroy him with his most famous technique, Kamehameha. Haame. Ha! Goku fired a Kamehameha with all his power at Zero, who never stood a single chance from the start and was finally destroyed, without leaving a single speck of dust. Vegeta, who arrived just at that moment, wore a smile on his face, seeing that this Kakarot was not messing around. I see you finished off that worm. Oh Vegeta, how did it go with Freezer? PFF, that insect had no chance against me. Goku laughed at Vegeta's attitude, and the two of them then returned to the time nest where Whis and Chrono were waiting. Chrono, upon seeing Goku unharmed, was able to relax since she had been very nervous about what might have happened to him, but seeing him her worries faded away. And so Goku returned home to the girls, who welcomed him with kisses and hugs. Epilogue. Several years later, Goku continued living happily with all his wives and his many children. Because of that, everyone moved to a mansion so there would be no problems with space. One night Goku was in the garden with Riaz watching the stars. Goku, do you ever regret coming to this world? Goku looked into her eyes, and after giving her a kiss he answered, I have never regretted it, not for a moment. I am grateful for Lord Bill's mistake, because thanks to it I was able to meet all of you. The others, who had been hiding nearby for some reason, upon hearing him say that, came running out and flooded him with kisses and hugs.